And we are live.
Are we?
Yes, we are. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Live at the Lounge. It's Sunday, October 6th, and we are back in the back room at Cavalier Cigar Company, just hanging out. I've got Alex Jester in the middle there and David Levine on the other end. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. How's your week been? A good week or not?
I dressed myself today, so.
Yeah. I was saving that.
This isn't my fez.
Let's explain the jackets here real quick.
Well, so Alex showed up with a smoking jacket and a fez, but the fez wouldn't fit over his man bun, which is a problem the Turkish Empire didn't come up with. And then I couldn't be out jacketed, so I went and got my blazer out of the car, the emergency blazer, and I saw a fez, so I put it on.
So the fez and the smoking jacket are mine. They're gifts from the girlfriend's parents.
And they weren't satirical.
No, so the girlfriend lie is even getting further and further embellished.
You picked these up at Goodwill on the way.
Because I'm making up parents that give gifts as well.
And they didn't tell me, or I'd have bought a jacket. I mean, because I actually own a couple.
I just decided to wear this because I saw an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm that was called The Smoking Jacket, where his was stolen by Hugh Hefner.
You'd think a man like Hugh Hefner would have enough smoking jackets.
Well, Hugh took it and he gave him a knockoff, and then he took Larry David's real one.
I don't know. Anyway, I want to just remind everyone, this is an interactive podcast. We have it up here on our phones. That's what we're looking at. And if you type anything in the boxes, we'll probably respond. We may ignore you, but I don't know. I'll try not to. So, Alex, give us a win from this week, Mr. Entrepreneur. How's your week been?
A win? Mm-hmm. I honestly, I shouldn't say that. So there was some good stuff. Just a person that was in a completely different state, and that was a new one for me. Just filing paperwork and getting kind of an offer written up for them that they can sign and go over. That was kind of a new one for me, new experience.
Nice.
For a piece of undeveloped property, just chunk of land they saw online. They asked me if I'd go and swing by and take a look at it, and I gave them some feedback, sent them some pictures.
Yep, this is land.
Yeah, I was like, it's there.
There's only so much you can do with dirt.
Yeah, they're not making more of it, so.
That's very true. That's very true. And how about you, David?
Did you like that?
Hold on, I have to regroup about the "you're not making any more dirt" comment.
Why? What?
This week was good. It was.
What is under that fez?
Unkept hair. The fez is holding in what would be styled hair. It is not currently. I have another hat we'll switch to in a minute because I feel a little ridiculous wearing a fez.
I quite like it. I think you should keep it for the duration of the event.
Which side does the tassel go on? Have I graduated or not graduated?
I don't know. I never did know that.
Somebody put that in the comments as to which side the tassel goes on.
I'm just going to go outside so you find your little funny red car.
You're supposed to tilt it, I think.
I would have been a Shriner, but I didn't fit in the cars.
Yeah.
No,
shit, you wouldn't even fit in a Miata.
There were photos of me driving Miata. My eyes stick over the windshield. It is a solid closing technique. If I get in a Miata with a customer to show them something, they're obligated to buy the car at that point.
What was the name of the military thing they draw on the side? Kilroy. Like Kilroy. That's David in the Miata.
Kilroy was driving David.
Kilroy.
Exactly. No, this week for me was good. It was closeout, which in my industry is always hectic. So we closed our month on Monday, which is then 2 days of panic to get financial statements finished whilst starting a new month and trying to motivate salespeople that went from hero to zero all of a sudden. Yeah, you think about it. The board clears out. Everybody sucks equally on the first.
That's true.
Goose eggs across the board.
Goose eggs across the board.
That's right.
It has been interesting. I'm waiting to see market reports for this week, but first weeks are always weird for reporting. But there's a little instability in, at least locally, in purchasing. It's slowed down.
We've noticed that, mate. In the real estate market as well.
Yeah, our across all the reports I've seen, and of course RDR reports retail delivery reports are skewed the first week because a lot of people won't report until week 2 because they're still closing out the last month. But I'm curious to see the reports when I get in tomorrow if the whole region felt the slowdown or if it was purely local.
Well, I had an up and down week. did some good stuff. Made a lot of client connections. Got a video commitment from a client. Got interviewed for a podcast, which we may go into later. We may not. And then it came to a screeching halt on Friday morning when I got sick, and I've spent the last 2.5 days either in bed or on the couch.
I have measured his wellness by the amount of NyQuil left in the bottle.
Hey, it did its job though. Friday night, I was so sick or off it. I just dosed up on NyQuil and I slept for like 13 hours straight, and it was great. I highly recommend it to anybody that's sick or I had some kind of sinus infection, headache kind of thing, and then NyQuil just knocked it right out. I was able to sleep, so that was a win, I guess. But yeah, a good week up until that point, and then a screeching halt on Friday. The problem with being an entrepreneur or whatever it is that we do is I feel like instead of taking 2 days rest because I got sick, I feel like I've lost 2 days of productivity and 2 days of work.
Because you have.
Well, yeah, I went in for a little bit yesterday, and I went in for a little bit this afternoon. And it's just like, you've just got to kind of keep going and keep getting caught up on stuff. Now I feel behind, even though realistically it's probably something I can catch up with early in the first part of next week.
So it's always like it seems to me that whenever you get sick or have to miss something for some reason, like that's really when shit hits the fan.
Yes,
and
or at least it feels like it does.
The thing that I noticed, so like I'm usually a pretty healthy person, and I had really great attendance for work and school and all that good stuff.
Of course you did.
I did. I had perfect attendance kindergarten through 12th grade. Yeah, strap that on.
Thank you, parents.
Yeah, I blame your parents for that more than you.
I'm sick today, Mum. No, you're not. Get in the car.
Get off and
That's
get in the car.
But when you were gone, of course, on that Friday is the day that the shit hit the fan for me, where like I found out that a financing offer had all dropped through, and so many balls had been dropped around, not just, Was that funny to you?
It was like middle school all over again.
Because you're a jester and you're a juggler and you
I dropped the ball.
handle
See, but
balls.
I didn't drop the ball. I'm still juggling the ones I had.
No, a lot of the times, in our job, often all you can do is get it to the table. You don't have anything to do with whether the financing is going to stick or whether there's going to be an issue in title or whether there's going to be a problem with a survey or a foundation after an inspection. You don't have any control over that.
Yeah.
You get a willing buyer and a willing seller to the table with agreed upon terms. And that's all we can do. And like I was saying, last year, I didn't have a single issue in any kind of transaction that I did. With the exception of we found mold in a kitchen and we had to get the mold abatement done, and it dragged out the close in about 3 weeks. That was the only issue I had all last year.
That was kind of a shit show. I remember that.
The first inspection I ever had, he said it was the worst inspection that he had seen on a house.
Yeah. I was like,
of course, get that one out of the way.
Yeah.
It's like downhill from here.
Man, it was bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
The inspector just quits halfway through.
It was like 27 fucking pages.
To quote him, I have never heard of 4 layers of shingles on a roof. And I was like, what's that? And he goes, just look at the
Extra
report.
Insulation?
He said, I'll send the report, just take a look
You
at
could
it.
look at the pier and beams, and they propped them up with Lego blocks, man. It was terrible. Old poor Sean, my inspector, all he managed to say was, recommend professional foundation inspection.
Yeah, / repairs.
I mean, but...
Speaking of, I'm gonna digress here for a second, but speaking of foundation, so my brother just bought a house in Colorado.
You win the lottery or what?
Right. No, he bought a 120-year-old house, built in 1890 something. And had the structural inspection done, had the radon inspection done, had all the stuff that had to be done for Colorado. Well, it turned out after he moved in, he was looking at his front closed-in porch, huge crack in the concrete, missed on the inspection. Well, going back and looking at the photos, they had staged the house with a throw rug and a piano on top of where this crack was.
Maybe the piano was holding the house together.
No, but it was in a non-climate controlled room, and they put a piano in there. So looking back, you're like, I should have known that piano shouldn't have been there. But he's having an issue now going back saying, should they have caught this? Should it have been disclosed? Should it have been... there's a half-inch to 3/4 inch crack that you could fill with whatever.
Well, he may just have to get some whatever and fill it in, because I don't know the rules in Colorado.
Putty.
Yeah.
Pudding.
Professional caulk applicator.
Caulk.
But before you spend any amount of money on anything, it's worth paying to get these things done by professionals.
Indeed.
And, you know, we and ah, and you know, I've done a asbestos report for a guy that was $720, and it's like, yeah, but it's $700 to know whether or not you can move forward. It's cheap insurance.
I recall you having some comments about that as asbestos.
I was shocked. They were in the house less than 7 minutes.
Are you at that point just paying for their insurance to say that if they missed it, they're
I have
liable?
no idea, because they charged for the samples. So we had 6 samples, and it was $18 a sample, and then it was $600 just to come to the house and take the samples. I'm like, I could have cut the samples out for you for free.
Right.
But
Yeah, I
no,
have a keyhole saw.
it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So,
It's kind of interesting. Like I get it where you're saying that you can do it yourself, but it would be like if you had a car repair shop or a service shop and you said, I'm going to bring you the parts. A lot of, I would think, service techs aren't up for that.
Well, no. See, we will not accept customer-provided parts.
There you go.
There's 2 reasons behind it, though, for us, and it's neither of them are profit-based. The first one is typically somebody is trying to bring a customer-provided part because it's less expensive or used. We won't install used parts. And the second is...
Well, it just comes right back at you when it fails.
Well, we warranty parts and labor. Well, with if you provide the part, I can't warranty the part. So at that point, all I can do is warranty the labor. But the labor warranty is provided by the parts manufacturer.
Right.
So if you bring me a Duralast alternator instead of an OEM alternator, and the alternator fails, and it's a 4-hour job to get to, you're paying for that job again for me to take the alternator out, hand it to you, for you to go back to the Napa,
Right.
get a new one, bring it back to me to pay to
Right.
put it back in.
Right.
But it shouldn't, because it's supposed to be durable and last. Duralast.
Yes, however, that is a bit of a misnomer when it comes to Duralast parts.
It's terrible. You couldn't pull a rotten tooth out of a dead horse's mouth with a joke like that. Absolutely.
I thought you were saying it was a skim off of milk pudding.
Skin off a rice pudding?
Rice pudding, yes.
It varies. I have different sayings depending on the level
But
of the lameness of the
Getting into
the
that,
attempted
you know,
pun.
in Texas,
Milk pudding?
But it's like what poor people eat.
I think it's rice pudding.
Yeah, it's rice pudding. You put milk
I
and
said it
rice,
wrong. He said
Oh,
it right.
okay.
cinnamon and vanilla
I
extract.
know what rice
and
pudding is. I didn't know what
bacon.
milk pudding was.
No, he said it wrong.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in Texas, if I sell a vehicle, it is caveat emptor, meaning buyer beware. However, if there's an issue that I should have been aware of or should have disclosed, even if it's a buyer beware situation, I can fall under DTPA, which is Deceptive Trade Practice Act. So I would feel like with a home, if I intentionally put a piano over a large crack, that's deceptive. Does that fall back on the seller? Does it fall back on the...
It is, but what if that piano had been over that crack for the last 5 years and I didn't know it was cracked?
In a non-climate controlled front room?
Maybe they're stupid about
Dude,
their
pianos
piano
are
storage.
cheap.
Maybe they never play it.
Like, pianos are cheap. I've got a piano in the garage, non-climate controlled.
You have a really nice piano in the garage.
No, it was $60.
Right, but it was a well-built piano.
It was. I forget what make it was, but
It was a
Wurlitzer
Wurlitzer piano. It was a Wurlitzer, yeah.
$60, and it lives in the garage. It was never in tune.
Yeah.
And the kids bang on it. What?
The way Sposey holds his phone, it's black. It looks like he's just holding a middle finger up to me the whole entire time.
No,
And
he is holding.
is holding
I looked over. I was like, "What is your
We're
problem?" I was
in
like,
the
"What?"
big room, so we've actually got.
we have a live
peanut
studio
gallery
audience.
today.
There are more people.
Yeah, but it's just I just saw your finger like this from the side, and you're holding it like that, and I was like, "What is
So
his
the
problem?"
live studio audience.
We actually have more people. We have more people in the audience tonight than we have on the show.
Yeah,
So,
true.
That doesn't happen very often.
no,
does
it doesn't.
So, have you been following the events in Dallas?
Are you
not the
speaking?
football ones.
Are you speaking of the
Amber
police officer that
Amber
came?
Geiger
Well, so
and Botham Jean?
I have read into this more recently as it made the news, but apparently, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, she came home from somewhere, possibly was drunk, possibly not. I haven't read the reports yet.
possibly.
In a large apartment complex, one of the big like monster indoor complexes. Got off at the wrong floor, went to where her door would be. Door was unlocked. She opened it.
Dude's sitting on
Dude's
a couch.
eating ice cream. She thinks he's in her apartment, shoots him and kills him.
Whoops. I mean, that's
She recently-
a big whoops.
That's a pretty big oops.
Come in. Come on, come all. We're being joined by people. We're being
Yes.
invaded. Not sure
Yeah.
what's going on.
Recently was sentenced to 10 years for murder.
For murder, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Sounds
isn't
a little
murder
light.
premeditated?
No, premeditation means she made a plan to go to that guy's apartment and kill him.
Huh.
I think they were arguing it's a synonym for crime of passion. It was like situational.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the whole background. I don't know if they dated. I don't know if they even knew each other.
If you walked into an apartment, now my first thing would be like, "Hey, that's not my couch," but
yeah, no kidding.
Sure, the floor plan may be identical, but it might probably be decorated differently.
Unless, I mean, yeah, like
unless they were furnished apartments.
Hey, that's not my couch, and you're not my boyfriend.
Now, I don't.
That's weird.
While I fully support our right in Texas to shoot somebody who intrudes in our home,
absolutely.
Maybe if I walk in the door and go, I don't know you, you're sitting on my couch, I might ask a few more questions before firing shots.
Yeah, I think so.
There might be a bit of an investigative process.
Yeah,
especially if he looks just as surprised as I am.
Is that my chunky monkey?
Yeah. Were you eating my Ben and Jerry's? I don't know.
Rocky Road.
What would you do for a Klondike bar? Shoot somebody
Shoot a guy, apparently.
who's eating
That's
it.
fucked up. But what's even more messed up is that
so the key witness,
Joshua Brown. No, he was described in the news article as the key witness,
and he was testifying to her mental state.
I don't know.
He was one of the few witnesses against her. Is what I read.
He was a witness against her. Yeah.
The day after the verdict came down,
found shot dead in the parking lot of the apartment complex.
That's a coincidence.
That they all lived in. It's a coincidence.
That's a strong coincidence.
It's a coincidence.
In a nicer area of town, from what I understand.
And guess who's investigating?
The Dallas
PD. Dallas police.
So you're gonna say the Clintons?
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't have never got to trial if it was the Clintons.
Yeah.
No.
That subject would have been dead and buried a long time ago.
Let him hang himself in the jail.
And it's interesting because I don't know enough facts about the case to know if she legitimately got too light of a sentence. Of course, you have a white female police officer shoots a black man in his home.
I mean,
who was sitting on his couch eating ice cream. The outrage is...
How do you quantify that sentence, though? Because, I mean, you took a life.
Is it an overreaction? Yes. Was it a
drunken accident? Yes, but then again, if
you're not supposed to be carrying a firearm if you're drunk.
If you have a drunken accident and smash a car into somebody.
In the state of Texas, if you are...
So when did they get the toxicology report back, or did they take? How soon after this all happened?
I don't know if she was drunk or not.
Right. So how soon after that did they take any toxicology samples?
I don't know.
Because I mean, there's been incidences where the people have come to like our door drunk, like in a neighborhood before, like in college or something, and they thought it was their house. And I'm like, just imagine if our front door had been unlocked and they had walked in the same situation.
When I lived over off the Wellborn side of town, I had two roommates, and we had a guy walk through our garage into the house, grab a beer out of the fridge, and sit on the couch with us. And like,
that's got to be pretty intense.
Well, we just all kind of looked. Like, he was drunk.
Well, if you have three different people, I'd be like, do you know him?
Yeah, we all looked at each other and went, do you know this guy? And like
after a while, it's like
10 seconds later, there's like panic knocking at the door. And these are all like spec homes, right? They're rental style houses.
Right.
So they all look very similar, just different colors.
Right.
And it was 11 o'clock at night, and the garage door happened to be up. So he walked through the garage door, and sat on the couch with us.
Mm-hmm.
Panic knocking at the door. Hey, we're super sorry about our friend who replaced the beer. Hey, man, you're on the wrong house. And he looks at us and goes, I don't know y'all. Yeah, we don't know you either. Now,
what if he was like, get out of my house?
Yeah, why are you in my house?
But they shot you.
Yeah. But if he had reacted and shot us because he thought we were in, I can see from the other side going, I'm just sitting on my couch. Like,
right.
Who are you and why are you in my house drinking my beer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to have a guy that would show up drunk at my house, but he'd always bring beer and knock on the door late at night, and it was my neighbor, and that's how
he was a friend of yours.
It's how we became friends. He would just like knock on the door. He's like, hey,
he would bring over growlers of homemade beer.
Like,
nice.
Yeah, I'm like, well, damn, it would be a shame to let that go to waste.
You haven't had a hangover till you've had homemade beer hangover.
Oh my god, that guy won fucking prizes for his beer.
It doesn't matter. It was like special brew.
It was really, really good.
That's the best neighbor to have.
It would sit a homeless guy down on his ass. It was so good.
Yeah.
You just wondered where the methylated spirits were in the ingredients list.
Yes, there was Everclear poured in there somewhere.
I'm sure.
But that's the conversation of, was the sentence too light? I don't know all the pertinent facts about the case.
Yeah.
But she was facing a sentence anywhere from 5 to 99 years.
Yeah. But what's more disturbing is are the police now, especially the Dallas police, with the execution of Joshua Brown, because that's what it appears to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are they?
Oh, we have a comment.
Are they a gang that can't be trifled with?
So according to one of our commenters,
let's see what Vic says. Vic says she wasn't intoxicated. Huh.
What we're being told is that she wasn't intoxicated.
Well, that's interesting.
You know,
How did she get in the house? Did she unlock it?
The door was
It was
unlocked.
unlocked. Does that mean her house is unlocked all the time?
I don't know.
I think she may have gotten to the door and saw it was cracked or something.
I don't think
know.
she lives there no more. So
Probably not.
Not
no.
now.
But now I'll say this: my brother lived in an apartment complex in Denver. That if he was not with me, there's no way I was ever going to find his apartment, because it's these massive, multi-courtyard, indoor-facing.
Oh, they're crazy.
And
They're crazy.
it's 5 stories. So if I got off at the 3rd floor instead of the 4th floor and walked to where I thought his door was, it may not be his door, but they all look the
All
same.
the doors are inside now, and it's
Yeah.
all key card access and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's up on the.
Now you can find them because the house just has a big crack in the middle that had a piano.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The
Look for
piano
that.
crack
Look for
is
the
what I
crack
look for
down.
Look
now.
for that now.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
it is.
Is this David's brother's house? Is the floor cracked? I don't know. This.
Yeah, let me
There
peek
might-
inside the
Is there a
storm door.
piano there? I don't know.
Yeah. But that's the question: is was the sentence too light? Was it a preferential sentence? There's a photo of the judge hugging her after the sentencing.
Oof.
The judge or the dude's
judge.
brother?
The dude's brother hugged her
I
as
know the
well.
dude's brother hugged
But
her.
there's a photo of the judge hugging Amber Geiger.
I mean, that never.
The judge
happened.
was African American, if I'm not mistaken, too. I don't know. There's a lot of weird shit going on. Are
Well-
cops watching each other's backs? Absolutely. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, you get into police overreach, and that's what's going on in Hong Kong right now. One of the
Hong
things-
Kong is government overreach more than police overreach,
yeah,
right?
but one of
not
the things they're protesting,
down.
there's 2 main things that they're protesting. One is they want the withdrawal of the extradition bill that's been very, very unpopular. And 2,
Yeah, because
they-
Hong Kong was pretty much extradition proof for.
right, but they want an independent investigation and a commission into police brutality. That's one of the things they're
Well,
protesting.
looking at there's a video floating around of 2 Hong Kong police officers, 2 Chinese police officers, dressed up as protesters, and were in
Yes.
with firearms concealed. Were in the protest crowd, and they got found out.
They passed a new law the other day, an emergency ordinance that said,
No
now
more face
face
coverings?
masks are illegal.
You cannot cover your face.
There was over
Well, because they have very advanced facial recognition cameras
Right.
all over China.
hundreds of thousands of people turned out this
Gotta be
weekend
advanced.
Gotta be advanced.
specifically with masks on to protest that law. And you're at a point now where every weekend in these protests, over 20% of the population of the country is on the streets. And at what point is the tipping point coming in Hong Kong? What in the ever-loving wored is going to happen out there?
Well, we were talking about before the show.
What happens with the tipping point? Like what?
Well, we were talking about before the show with China, having to do with Houston Rockets, where the Houston Rockets general manager came out with a tweet about supporting Hong Kong, and the Chinese apparently have a massive Chinese following due to Yao Ming's influence.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
They have a Chinese.
or as I like to call him, that tall dude.
the really tall Asian.
He was really tall, yeah.
But they have a
And
massive.
he always looked like he was smiling.
Yeah, a massive Chinese following. He actually still has a restaurant in Houston. And there's been huge calls, apparently, on social media by Chinese pressure for the firing of this GM, which would be a crippling blow to the Rockets, who were really crappy for a lot of years and have become a very good basketball team.
They're doing pretty good, yeah.
That would be like them calling for the firing of A.J. Hinch as the manager of the Astros.
Sports. Yeah.
Sports.
All that stuff.
Shut up, science.
Shut up, science. We'll come to you for the weather report. Shut up till then.
The jacket report.
I don't know AJ.
Shut up, Holly Williams.
What am I supposed to wear? But fucking Hong Kong is protesting.
So
Right?
go back real quick. So you said what is tipping point? What happens when you do reach the tipping point? You said 20%. Say it's 50%. Now, what does the tipping point equal?
Honestly, I just think it's more people that are going to get run over by tanks.
That's the Tiananmen Square conversation.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't there something talking about if you?
Hold on a second. Vic Reese asks, why is the camera panning? I just want to say because we can. There. Because Tex is on the camera.
Was Tex? Did you just flip
Tex
to mobile
changed
cam?
to a cell
and then-
phone. He flicked to mobile cam. Yeah.
He's the media foundry.
He is-
He is the
he can do
Texas
what he
media
wants.
fan. He can do whatever he wants. We're going to get dog cam in a minute. There's a little dog running around. We're going to strap the camera
Yeah,
to her.
Marie's gonna figure out we're up here in a minute.
Yeah. Anyway, back on track.
Vic says that the judge gave her a Bible. Judge gave her a Bible and giving her a hug was African American, which was weird. Yes, I agree. That is a little odd. There's not a lot of
It's
convicted
more
murderers.
weird that we use the term African American than anything.
Maybe she was from Africa. I don't know. But so the
I only
judge.
know one genuine African American, and he's white.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
I don't watch a lot of televised murder trials, so I don't know how many judges hug how many convicted murderers, but I assume it's not a lot.
That's one of those things where, as a judge, you should especially be in that conscious mind of not doing things that could be viewed in such a high-profile case that even if she did know, even if she got
should have done that in
forgiveness.
the back room afterwards.
Yeah,
like
that's in Chambers kind of situation.
Yeah,
That was the word I was looking for. Chambers.
faux pas, I would call that.
Fuck up.
Yeah.
There was a.
Is that French? Is that French for fuck up?
I think faux pas it's Fox Pass.
Fox Pass.
Fox Pass is how it's pronounced. Alex, you're saying it wrong.
Yeah, Fox Pass. Like Guy Fawkes. Guy Fawkes
No,
Pass.
it's faux pas, and it's I guess it's kind of French for stepping in a cow turd. I think is the best way to put it.
Stepping in a cow turd.
Yeah, it's not so much a fuck up as an awkward situation that you've put your foot into, and there can't be much more awkward to put your foot into than a pile of cow shit.
Depending where you're at. If you're in a field with cows,
It's still awkward wherever you're
if I'm
at.
walking down the street and put my foot in cow shit, I must be in Fort Worth.
Now does
Or College Station.
Or
does
College
the
Station.
awkwardness change with the type of shit? You know, if it's cow shit,
If
dog
it's camel shit.
human shit,
We need to get.
is that a worse situation?
You must be in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are killing me. You're killing me.
Did you say Austin?
Yeah, there's isn't public defecation legal in Austin now? As long as it's not on the Capitol steps.
Legal.
Yes.
Like with an L. Like
Yes.
legal. Like
Somebody fill me in here. They made some changes to where
You can camp.
Keith, will you Google this for
Yep,
us?
they're allowed.
the
it's-
homeless are allowed to camp anywhere on public grounds in Austin
Correct.
except the Capitol building.
Yeah,
But
you're.
not defecate, surely.
Well, yeah, they're not legalizing defecation. in
But they
public,
may be
they're going
decriminalizing.
to.
But how difficult
They
is
didn't
it?
legalize. They didn't legalize in San Francisco, but they have to go somewhere, and there's nowhere to go.
There's
How
no
difficult is it to have a bunch of porta johns just lined up?
Well, the
for
problem is public restrooms tend to turn into fuck shacks. So
Or shoot up shacks.
shoot up shacks. Pretty much anything you don't want done in a public restroom.
them? That is actually
The
true.
city of Houston closed all other public park restrooms because they were turning into drug and sex shacks.
Well, they actually my hometown ended up closing their public bathrooms for the same reason, which just struck me as really, really odd. I didn't know there were quite so many closeted gays, but when it made the newspaper and they locked the toilets, it was where gay men would go and meet and have secret coughs and handshakes to set stuff up.
What's the slang term in
Cottaging.
in England for the
Bumming.
gay person?
For what?
Is it bender?
Bender, yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I watched the In-Betweeners.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen The In-Betweeners, it's
That's pretty funny.
It's definitely worth checking out. If you're having a immature Friday afternoon, it's definitely worth checking
Their
out.
insults are pretty funny because you get them with the context clues, but it's like, it's a good word.
Yeah, and the guy that played the principal in it, I forget his name.
Yeah, he's funny.
He actually wrote the show. He was the main
Yeah.
writer on the show. He's a very good stand-up comic. If you haven't seen his Netflix special,
What's his name?
I can't remember.
Oh, okay, well then how are we going to look up his Netflix special?
Because he's the principal of the In-Betweeners. You
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Google,
Googling.
don't you? You
Hey,
know, shit.
We're going to need somebody to get on that, figure out the name for the
For the
principal of the
yeah,
In-Betweeners.
find the name of the principal after you've Googled that defecating law for us, Keith.
I'm not seeing anything
Well,
explicit on that.
it wouldn't
So-
be a law about defecating. It'd be a law about camping.
Oh, okay.
And so by
Yeah, but what about in the several times I've gone camping, you pack in what you pack out. You pack out what you pack in.
you bury it. And
It depends on the public park.
buy
Every
it
time
at
you go camping, you just walk to the restroom in the cabin next door.
I did a lot of camping in my younger days.
Greg Davies.
Greg Davies.
Greg
Okay.
Davis. Who is
I did that-
the comedian.
Yeah.
So check that out for sure. But let's
get back on track.
get
What-
back.
do we have a track?
I was wanting to go to France, the Yellow Jacket protest.
Okay, let's go to the Yellow Jackets. Yellow vests.
Yellow
Have they
vests.
upgraded jackets based on weather?
I guess. I mean, they will. It's October now. And it's cold everywhere except for Texas, where
Yeah,
it was
it is.
97
It's 97 today.
It was hot.
It was hot.
You know what this weekend was? It was doing multiple showings in Franklin and Hearn and Bryan out in wooded areas, 15, 20 acre plots, and like walking them with
Oh
the people.
God, that's got to be miserable.
Yeah, it was good times.
Yeah. So hopefully some of them will sell.
That's right.
And Vic says Austin loosened their laws about camping and not pooping.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
Thank you,
to-
Vic.
You're welcome to sleep, but please take
Thanks,
it.
Vic. I was saying that. I was saying it's not the pooping laws that changed.
Wow, that is an interesting phrase for the term pickle parks. Thank you, Eric. I didn't know we had an official term for that.
Who are your friends?
These aren't my friends. It's a trucker.
It's
Texas friends.
Man,
Probably not kosher. That whole act isn't entirely viewed as kosher.
as horny as most guys are, there's got to be better ways to organise having sex with strangers than just hanging out in public bathrooms. It just seems nasty. It just seems awful.
I'd be such a priss.
That's the part of it that bothers you.
I would be such a priss. I'd be like, ew, porta potty? Come on, man.
Yeah.
And with the man bun, we know.
We could go to the
Yeah.
bathroom at the Hilton.
Yeah. That'd be the high class one.
It's just wrong, man. It's just, no. Ooh, no. I couldn't, no.
Moving swiftly
So,
on.
yeah, moving on. What else have we got on here? Oh, the Brian mayoral race. Now, when is that election coming?
I have not been following that, but apparently y'all have.
Dustin, do you know?
No, most races are
I
in
think it's
November.
coming the first or second week of November, the Brian mayoral race.
Isn't Jason Bayanski still the current mayor?
No.
Mayor in years.
Andrew Nelson is the
I
current
run a business
mayor.
in Bryan, and I'm not sure.
What's it called? The incumbent?
Yes.
Yeah, Andrew Nelson's the incumbent, and there's a guy called
Not to be confused with the Incumberbund.
Patrick, and forgive me, I'm not even going to attempt his last name. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, yeah. I've
I-
seen the signs around town.
I would pretty much butcher it, but it's those two. But I would like to get them on the podcast if we could and have a chat with them. 'Cause
that would be fun.
it would. You know, Andrew, I don't know him, but I've heard a lot of good things about him. And Patrick's platform just seems to be for the people, but he doesn't have a platform. So
That reminds me somewhat of the South Park episodes that you just get up on stage and say 9/11 a bunch of times and people get behind you.
something like that. Yeah. So I thought that. So how often do they replace the mayor? Is it it's a
Is it
6 year
two-
cycle?
I thought it was
Is it-
2 years.
is it
wasn't
2 years?
Yeah.
Somebody? Anybody?
Yeah.
2 year
That's 2 years,
cycle.
yeah.
So I thought, right, because you don't need really a platform or an agenda or a budget.
Well, so the Bryan mayor is a. So College Station's mayor is
Mooney.
Is Mooney, but he's part of
Yeah.
the city council, which is a council-run city.
Right.
Bryan is civil service. I know that, and so it's the mayor actually has more direct power than College Station. Am I correct or incorrect in that? Anybody?
There's still a city council.
Well, there's still a
Yeah.
city council, but it's set up differently than College Station.
College Station is a city manager.
There you go, city manager, which is not an elected position, or is it an elected position?
It's not an elected.
It's a hired position.
Appointed.
Oh, okay, hired by the
They,
city
they
council.
hire a city manager to run stuff. Yeah. I just think that in 2 years' time, if we have 2 years to run at it, because I'm assuming from what I see based on the two campaigns and the professionalism, and you know, forgive me, I don't really know much about either side, but from what I've seen in social media and from what I've seen in the public eye, so to speak, Andrew Nelson is far better established than the challenger, Patrick, whose last name I forget. But I think that if we've got 2 years to take a run at it, by the end of the next 2 years, Andrew's probably going to be like, right, I've had enough. We'll give somebody else a shot. And I think we can make David the mayor of Bryan.
I would have to move to Bryan.
Well,
Don't you have to live in Bryan?
I don't know. I
I
mean,
think College
it's a
Station.
one big town.
I think
anyway,
College
Bryan.
Station City Council is still my target.
Do they? Man, I don't know. I mean, they give you chains and everything. You could be the mayor. You could decree things.
Do I get a key?
You know,
Probably.
you know what I think they should do is that, and they should do it for like the presidency of the United States and things like that, is that the person coming
Battle Royale.
the person coming in after you, I think that they should start extending the terms instead of like 4 years, maybe make it 6, but the guy going out serves 2 years into your 6, and then vice versa, so that you have the previous person that had stuff working and they have to be in agreement on it, so that there is no
Well,
like
what if their
just
platform changes?
doesn't matter. Then you got to work with somebody on your different platform.
But then somebody else is deciding. That gets into people controlling the narrative more than.
Well, you have it with different terms and stuff like that, with like the Senate and everything, where there's overlap of different states and
I
people
think-
that have been there, and
I
there's
think
new
the more,
people.
I think the more important thing is figuring out how to get term limits for Congress.
Yes.
Yes.
There were.
How congressmen's net worths jump by tens of millions of dollars.
But what-
I want to know how you
what-
have
what-
guys. What was it? Andrew Byrd served 60-something years in Congress. He was in Congress when the Jim Crow laws were still in effect, and then until he died a couple years ago.
Yeah. Do you see why I can't say that name, Tex? How's
Jim
that
Crow.
pronounced? Jim. It's spelled
GM
GIAMM.
Malva.
GIAMMALVA.
Patrick G.
Patrick Giamalva.
Giamalva.
Patrick Giamalva is the
Say
challenger.
Holiday Brian.
Huh?
Para Alcalde de Brian?
Yeah, it's a Spanish.
Okay.
Alcalde de Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he do previously before?
I don't. I mean, I wish him. the best
Doesn't
of
matter.
luck.
To a point.
I mean, yeah, you'd want somebody with some experience of running something.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the politicians are lawyers.
Pretty much all the politicians are bred for it, but that's a different
scientists
conversation.
Or business owners, or
Well, that's because scientists are busy sciencing and business owners are busy running businesses. You know.
so you have people who.
Well, but let's talk about the ingrained families of politics.
Goodness.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really want to get Epsteined, but
And how they're all related to British royalty.
yeah, that's a whole that's a longer chain than that's like the 7 degrees of Bacon. You could argue they're all related to Kevin Bacon too, in that.
Well, Kevin Bacon's British royalty, so they probably are. No,
Is Kevin Bacon British
I have
royalty?
no idea.
Could be.
Probably.
I just know he's not kosher.
Sir Kevin Bacon.
Sir Kevin Bacon. He's been knighted. Has he? No, he has.
No idea.
His brother Chris P.
You got to have that middle initial in there to make the pun work. I get
Christopher
it.
Paul Bacon.
Christopher Paul.
We have
Bacon.
more comments.
But back to let's look at U.S. politics for a second.
Do we have to?
Development in the whistleblower case this week. There's been several developments in Trump's impeachment whistleblower case, where Trump actually came out on TV and said, "Yeah, why doesn't China take a look into that shit too?"
So for those that haven't been following
doubled down. That was
Double down,
so-
just like boom. There
For
you
those
go.
that haven't been following it, this whole Trump impeachment effort has been based on a conversation he had with the Ukrainian president or prime minister.
I
don't
think it's
remember
time Monica just took one for the team.
president, Ukrainian president. He had a conversation with the Ukrainian president asking him to look into Joe Biden's son. Joe Biden's son was implicated in some bad business dealings in Ukraine several years ago, or possibly more recently than that, where the investigation just went away, and Biden said in a public press conference, I told them if they want to keep getting their funding, they'll make it go away.
Yeah, he definitely admitted that he leaned on him a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with some strong speech from politicians. That's the way foreign policy has been done for a long time.
That's what I don't get. That's how everything's been done forever.
Well, and
forever.
The conversation was the quid pro quo. Was there a tit for tat in the conversation? And,
Well, what if there was? That's just how shit has run for the last 2,000 years.
right, but if you're Trump, who is the target of every crosshair in politics, maybe you need to watch what you say a little bit more.
There's very few people that will
I
scratch
think Trump
your
will get
back.
I think Trump will get a lot less trouble if he'd stop tweeting.
Yes, but there's very few people that will scratch your back in world politics if you're not going to scratch theirs back.
Well, that's
You know, and we understand as adults that that's how it works. And I understand that Biden squeezed the Ukrainian fella by the balls till he squealed. I get it. That's how it works. Is he right? Is he wrong?
Is it an impeachable offense?
But for Trump to say, "Can you all take a look at this?"
Well, but here's what they forget is that they're pursuing impeachment proceedings. Well, impeachment doesn't remove someone from office. You can impeach the president and he stays in office. You have to have a separate hearing for removal from office. If you have removal from office, you end up with President Pence, which I don't know if that's any better.
He's an interesting person.
He's an interesting dude too, but there was somebody put up something the other day. The circle of Trump. Trump gets removed from office. Biden becomes Pence becomes president.
Yeah.
Pence pardons Trump. Appoints Trump as his vice president. Steps down. Trump steps up, and then appoints Pence as his vice president.
Dude, he would be like, I'm back.
Yeah, you know his first press conference would be, "I'm back, bitches."
No, that would just
People's heads would explode. But listening to the phone call or what was released, I didn't hear anything wrong with it.
I didn't hear anything wrong with it. Nothing that I wouldn't have said. You know?
Now, are the Democrats hanging themselves? And I don't necessarily side with either party. I think the two-party system is a joke because it's the same party with two representatives. It's the same guy with two hand puppets.
Well, I saw a GIF the other day that described
A GIF? Like
A
peanut
GIF?
butter?
like a GIF, like the
Like a GIF?
A GIF?
GIF, you assholes. So anyway, I saw an animated chart, but
moving picture.
It went a moving picture, like a film, almost like a flicker. So
flicker.
it almost went by how the parties had worked together in the past under different Congresses and Senates, etc. And it showed the markings between the red and the blue dots and how they went together on deals and signed different things. And it went through the different ones. And
Well,
then
but
in the last 15 years or so, everything has gone red and blue, and they do not get anything done together.
Well, no, the Congress hadn't gotten shit done in years. But the problem is, look at American politics, look at the two-party system, and go back and look at the platforms that the Democrats and Republicans have taken. They have, over time, swung apart from each other, swung back together, crossed, changed policies, and then done it over and over again.
I think that this whole thing now, as guys that are that were raised the same era as us, the Zennials, I believe they call it now. There's a generation between about 78 and 88 that were born into an analog world but raised in a digital world.
Yeah.
Gen Y2s.
Zennials, Gen Y2s, whatever, but it's about that 10-year span where we still remember the phones
you have a foot in both
plugged into the wall. We still remember, cassette tapes and winding them back with a pencil.
Yeah,
Blockbuster, that kind of stuff. But we were also the first adopters of the smartphone and all that other stuff. And I think once these older folks...
But they say that generation has the ability to communicate with the older generation and work with the older generation.
Correct.
And to work with the newer generation.
Yes, with like that little bridge gap.
Based on the year that I was born, I fall within what they were calling millennial, but I looked at what the quote qualifiers were, and I didn't agree with any of them. And that's kind of when they shoehorned that little middle generation in there. It made a lot more sense.
I struggle to understand kids. I struggle. I mean, I've got some guys in their late teens and early 20s work with us, and I struggle.
I have a high school student working for us right now that is interesting. Mannerisms, work ethic, things like that. Like, he's made the decision to come out and get a job. He's getting school credit in the College Station ISD for working as one of his periods. He gets to get off work early get off school early to come work with us. Yeah. And he is extraordinarily impressionable, and I can't tell if that's the age. And what I mean is, he came in with a very hard work ethic, got surrounded by a guy that was on his way out, and has completely shifted his usefulness. But
because he's on a work pro, you can't just give him a smack around the ear and tell him to get on with it, can you?
Well, he's also under 18.
With regular employees too.
You can't?
You can't, no.
No.
You can't hit employees.
No.
My bad. We better wind that one up.
Sam missed that portion of the HR class.
Oops.
You also can't call them fuckwits, apparently.
I've not done that.
Or waterheads, or any other derogatory term.
I don't derogatory terms. No, it's all
Waterhead.
Yeah.
I've never heard waterhead. You must have been really stretching to grab that insult.
No, that was.
Hey, wait, why did you change from your fez, man?
I saw what it looked like on film.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. I hadn't looked in a miror. It was bad.
Good. It did. I liked it.
It looked like I had about 14 acres with a forehead. So.
I mean, yeah.
A $7 Uber ride for my eyebrows. I wasn't okay with it. But the politics, the problem that I've got right now is that you look at both sides, and I'm going to make a South Park reference again here. You have a choice between a giant douche and a shit sandwich. Mm-hmm. There's really not a lot of good options in politics right now,
except for Patrick.
And how do you get how do you get term limits on Congress when Congress is the one who has to vote for them? They're not going to vote themselves out of a job. You're never going to get that to pass because they're, even if it's a 3-term limit, they're 6-year terms to begin with. So you're still talking about 18 years.
Right.
Is that too long for somebody making policy decisions who is, when in policy, is separated from what's really going on in the world?
Maybe we should just run for Congress. I mean, that would be the easiest.
We don't have enough money between us to stage one of those campaigns.
If we all piss in the same bucket as them, maybe it won't be so bad.
If we all feed from the same trough, it might not be so bad.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know. It's every time the presidential election comes around, or any of the midterm elections come around, it's always like you see a distinct change in people's buying cycle for sure. People don't buy a lot in election years, especially contested election years.
That is quite true.
The question I was posing earlier, are the Democrats shooting themselves in the foot by going after this Trump impeachment, thinking that they're going to use that to sway the base? Which I think a lot of his base that showed up, which isn't answering polls, because they keep talking about how he's failing in the polls. Well, they talked about that through the whole last election.
Yeah.
And look what happened.
Man, I would have loved to have had $100 on Trump. He was like 5,000 to 1.
I think he was even surprised he won.
I think it definitely ruined his plans for the next 8 years.
Yeah.
shit, now I got to do this.
Yeah. Well, when he...
Poor Melania.
Yeah, her face the night he won was like, this dumb mother. He made I'm still convinced there's going to be memoirs come out at some point. It's going to turn out that the whole Trump campaign was a bar bet. It's like, you've seen Trading Places?
Yeah, hold my beer and watch this.
$1.
The $1 bet, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it's going to come out to be, and that he's just kind of started to like it. So, but are the Democrats shooting them in themselves in the foot going into election year? That it's going to be the Democrats going on a witch hunt. They went on a witch hunt, couldn't get anything done.
I believe so.
Well, I mean, they don't get anything done anyway. Neither of them do.
Right, but not getting anything done in policy, it goes both ways. Not getting anything done when it comes to an impeachment, saying, look, you went on this witch hunt after the sitting president, which looks bad internationally.
Well, they did it with
bad internationally.
They did it with Kavanaugh too.
Yeah, they did it with Kavanaugh. They tried to ruin that guy.
Well, they ruined a lot of other people's lives in the process and did nothing to stop it, and it still went through. And yeah,
I'm curious to run for policy just so I can see who I pissed off. I feel like they dig all that up.
Yeah. You definitely have to
clear your texts.
Clear your texts and browser history.
Browser history.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what next year's election cycle is going to bring in 2020.
I think Trump's going to landslide it again.
I don't know.
I don't think they're going to stop him.
They need to landslide the first one.
It didn't landslide at all.
He won by 304 to something.
Right, but in the popular vote, he didn't landslide anything. He just got the right states.
No. Yeah, you're right.
Which is all you got to do.
It's all strategic, don't it?
Yeah, he got the right states to win the Electoral College.
I don't see the Democrats putting up anybody with a shit of a chance of beating Trump.
What's interesting is that one of the angles they're taking...
Sanders had a chance.
Well, currently...
Until he had that heart attack last week.
Did he have a heart attack last week?
Yeah.
I thought did he have a heart attack? I thought he just had surgery.
No, he had a heart attack on the campaign trail. They put stents in it.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't invoke a lot of confidence for the next 4 years.
Well, he's 78.
Yeah, he would be 80 when he took office.
And I know he cancelled a bunch of events. I don't know if he's back out on the trail or not. I mean, obviously...
the problem is the Democrats haven't put forward one candidate yet, which... They didn't put forward Hillary until later in the cycle. There was a lot of people in the debates before her.
I'm wondering if they put her forward again. They just
I
drag
don't
her
think
out of the
so.
cupboard.
I don't think they will. It went so poorly with the Midwestern states. She said some stuff that she shouldn't have said. And I think if she hadn't have said some dumb stuff about the Midwestern states, she would have won.
When Bill Burr described it, when he said it was remarkable that Hillary was going against a guy that like every day there was something new, and they were like, "Can you believe what he's doing?" And he goes, and she dropped the ball on the 2-yard line, and the other team got the ball. Like that's they were walking it into the end zone, and they couldn't do it.
Well,
couldn't get it done.
Trump's been called the Teflon Don because for some reason nothing sticks to him. It's all this stuff levied at him, all these scandals, all these. And everybody just goes, meh, that's what we expected. Because he wasn't, he never denied any of it.
Trump caught with a prostitute. He's rich and he's ugly.
There's something about leaning into that, and that, I mean, it's
Well, he's done
psychology.
something that no politician's really done, which is straight up looking at him and saying, yeah, that's something I would do.
Well, I mean, Beto did that when somebody brought up the whole fact that like he had gotten a DUI, and he came forward and he said, I did, and he admitted it, and then it became something that they couldn't really...
screwed up when he said, I'm going to take your guns in a Texas rally.
Right, yeah, no, he still messed up, but he did that where he just leaned in, he goes, I did, yeah, you're right. He didn't try to sweep it under the rug, and he let it out.
Well, they're trying to learn from that playbook.
Yeah, and it works when you do that, when you lean in.
But the Democrats aren't currently... The current Democratic Party is not combined enough within themselves to be behind the same candidate.
Yeah.
There's no I'm curious to see what happens with the... going back to some of the accusations from the DNC for Hillary, that Sanders should have been the candidate.
Yeah, but the DNC said...
The DNC said, we're a private corporation. We can make whoever we want.
Yeah, it's not an accusation. It's a fact. They came out and said, look, these elections don't count. It's like, whose line is it anyway?
The primaries?
Yeah, this is just to gauge public opinion. We're going to put forward who we want to put forward.
Yep.
And it was at that point in time that I completely lost any remaining faith I had left in the democratic process, because you can only vote for the guys that they tell you to vote for. We go vote for them, obviously. But
and of course,
Sanders
some
was the
third-party
winner.
Some third-party candidate will pop up, which usually ends up taking votes away from the Democratic Party.
Right.
Because the third-party candidates tend to be more liberal and not less.
Yeah. But Sanders was the clear winner of all of those primaries. He had more delegates, more super delegates, and everything.
Let's talk about the Ron Paul, Rand Paul situation.
Jeez, yeah. I mean, Ron Paul in 2012 was just shut out.
Yeah, Ron Paul was just straight run out of the room. And I think, and I don't remember the campaign entirely because it was, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, but he had a lot of points that a lot of people resonated with, but they will never be able to put forth the campaign effort monetarily that one of the major parties can put forth.
No.
The Republican Party never assumed they were going to put forward Trump until he got such a groundswell.
Right. I mean, they were against him vehemently in the debates.
Yeah, and they were going to put forward. Who were they putting forward?
Was it Romney?
I think it was Romney.
Again?
I think they were going to try to put Mitt Romney up again.
I mean, if that's the best you've got.
Well, that's the thing is there's no good up-and-coming candidates. They don't have anybody. They were talking about putting one of the Bush kids up again. They're talking about putting Jeb up. And
Why?
He just fucked up so bad in some of the Florida stuff.
Jeb reminds me of a fat kid that somebody stole his candy floss.
They need to find the third Bush brother that was like, he's an oil businessman in Texas.
I don't know.
They need to find somebody from outside politics, which is, if the Democrats
Which is why Trump won.
If the Democrats
Outside
could find somebody
politics.
from outside politics and run that type of campaign, but they tried it with Ocasio-Cortez, and that's backfired on a massive.
Well, there was that Asian bloke.
Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
Andrew Yang, yeah.
He was semi-interesting. It'd be interesting to see
Didn't
if they...
he cocked it up in one of the debates, though, didn't he?
You can basically everything you see on TV is framed a certain way. So
Sure.
they could have cut it, and they could have just changed the camera angles, and
But
they
the-
could have muted the applause, any of that kind
What
of
was
stuff.
the Ocasio-Cortez? She answered was it a casting call or something?
I don't know.
It was something weird to do with her that, because she was a bartender in New York, right? And then out of the blue, all of a sudden, she had all this funding and all this backing to run for this office. I'm assuming intended to be a puppet for the Democratic Party as a young, up-and-coming politician. And she got a little power hungry and started doing some stuff that she's not liked by either party right now.
She got a little vocal.
She got a lot vocal. And then got busted for her boyfriend being on the payroll and all this other stuff that they have just kind of swept her under the rug.
Well, I think there's a very hard push right now in politics, the focus of the media is to bombard us with so much stupid shit that all the intelligent people just shrug their shoulders and give up.
Well, the news cycle's bullshit. We've all had that conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, there's just no substance to it. It's all do this, oh, and then Cardi B, or do this, and then Kim Kardashian, or do this, and then Bruce Jenner. There's no fucking substance to it, and it's the pictures they paint are so one-sided. It's very difficult. You've got your right wing over here, and you've got your left wing. There's nobody left in the middle.
So one of the Democratic leaders read the Trump quote transcript and then did a satirical reading of it, but didn't say it was satirical till afterwards. Well, they grabbed this soundbite of him basically insinuating that Trump said, "Do this or I'm cutting your funding." Like, he made it sound terrible, but that's the media bite that's been grabbed. That's the soundbite that's been grabbed. And he came out later and said, it was a satirical reading. I was making fun of it.
Yeah, that's difficult, that one. That's difficult.
Joseph Goebbels 101. That's
like
maybe a little bit of a jump.
I don't know. It's propaganda.
It is propaganda, yeah.
Like using the little kid for the environmental issues to distract everyone. Oh, where's she gone? She's out the news cycle.
Oh, that
Greta?
that did not go over very well.
Yeah, but when you take little children and put them in front of the cameras,
Use them as puppets.
blatant manipulation.
Yeah.
Well, they tried to do that in the Kavanaugh thing with the lady who was the person that he had supposedly sexually assaulted, and they just threw her under the bus.
Tore her apart,
and they did not go about it the right way, and they tried to make something stick, and it didn't work, and her life is ruined.
Ruined.
And they just, all right.
Sorry about
your
bad life.
Yeah, but shit.
Good luck with the name change.
Talking of ruined lives, Manchester United currently 2 points above the relegation zone after playing 8 games.
Please, for those of us who don't watch a lot of soccer, enlighten us as to what the relegation zone is.
Soccer keeps me grounded. It connects me to back home. It connects me to England.
So it would be like an NFL team being demoted out of the NFL because they didn't have enough wins.
because they sucked so bad.
Okay.
And,
Manchester United?
So
Yeah.
all through high school, I've been a Liverpool fan since I was that big. And all through high school, Manchester United won everything. But when I say they won everything, I mean they won fucking everything. It was horrible. Everybody at school was a Manchester United fan. They all rubbed it in. And, now Manchester United and Arsenal are level on points with Liverpool. when you add their points together. It's great. Liverpool, 8 wins in 8 matches, and a little bit of luck, definitely, but a lot of skill, and this is the best Liverpool side in 30 years.
Sounds like the Dallas Cowboys.
And yeah, Liverpool were European champions in the 70s and 80s, and then they really fell off. They had a couple of good runs, a couple of cup wins.
It was sort of like what the Astros went through in like the late 2000s, where they had some 50-win seasons out of 160 games.
I mean, we got 97 points in the league last year, which was the 4th highest total ever. We didn't win the league, however, because Manchester City got 98 points. But Manchester City lost this morning, so Liverpool are now 8 points clear after 8 games. 8 wins.
How many games are there?
There's 38 in the season, so we've got 30 more games to go.
So it's a little early still.
It's very, very early, but there's a lot of cautious optimism around the Liverpool fan base. We did just win the European Championship. We came off that.
So what confuses me about soccer is that the same team will play in 3 or 4 different leagues at once. Mm-hmm. There's 3 or 4 different
competitions. Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 different championships floating around. I don't understand it. I just nod and smile.
Well, basically,
that's what I do with pretty much.
There's the league, which is 20 British teams that play against each other every week for 38 weeks, right? Then those teams get invited to join into cup competitions, which is where all the teams in the league play in the cup and they knock each other out. And in the 3rd round of the cup, the top 20 teams join in, and so there's 2 cup competitions like that. And then the top 4 teams play in the European competition called the Champions League. And then the 5th and 6th team play in a different European competition called the UEFA League. So there's all these competitions going on that equates to about 2 professional matches a week. So there's plenty of television money, plenty of sponsorship money going around.
What confused me about it was that they could suck so bad. It would be like a baseball team sucking so bad they went from Major League status to AAA status.
Or like the Cowboys
yeah.
just playing in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Liverpool... They
Tex is going to mute Alex's mic if he says one more negative thing about the Cowboys.
I mean, I'm just saying, they were just. I'm not a Bengals fan.
The Cowboys are kind of sucking right now, huh?
Well, just for the last 20 years, just for the last 20 years or so, it's fine.
I know. I just saw all over Facebook this afternoon, Cowboys people ranting about the Cowboys.
Nobody loves the Cowboys.
And it doesn't work
for me and a bunch of other.
You've got to take this into consideration.
How are your Cubbies doing?
Why would you?
There's 32 professional teams in the NFL, right?
I don't know.
So even if your quarterback sucks, you're like, man, our quarterback sucks. I'm like, hold up a minute. He's still one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the world.
Because we're the only country that cares about football.
You can't even throw a fucking wadded up piece of paper into the trash can and hit it. And so give him some slack. It's probably really, really difficult throwing that football when you've got 300-pound gorillas trying to stomp you into the mud. I'd just go out there on a
That would be an interesting game to watch.
Dallas Cowboys.
I would watch that.
I'd watch that.
Well, it's like the UFC.
A line of silverback gorillas versus.
Can we not
somebody would die.
Can we not just have legal steroids in all sports? Just have the steroid league. I mean, why not?
Call it Mark McGuire.
I mean, why not? At this point, I mean, it's like when they dope tested all these Tour de France people, and they got to number 16 before they found a guy that was clean. It's like.
Well, but the problem is like the Olympics disqualified a snowboarder a couple years ago because he had tested positive for marijuana, and they called it a performance-enhancing drug.
Yeah.
There is nothing other than colors and sounds that are enhanced while on weed.
A pot-smoking snowboarder.
Imagine that. Yeah, the shock. But
they stopped testing the skateboarders.
I'm not surprised. Well, the federal government has had to get rid of drug tests for computer programmers because there weren't enough qualified fucking computer programmers that could piss clean.
Well, but so what's interesting is, I'll bring my brother up again, but he deals with this in banking. So he lives in Colorado where marijuana is legal. However, if he is SEC licensed, if he's an SEC licensed trader or whatever,
right.
You still have to be able to pass a federal level drug test.
Right.
So even if you live and work in a state, and I think there was a court case about this with companies whose headquarters was in other states or had anti-drug policies, could they fire somebody in Colorado for testing positive for marijuana if it's legal in Colorado?
When polled, over 84% of the population said that they believe that marijuana should be legal.
I'd like to see that 300 million person poll.
Well, they don't do it like that. It's like Gallup, where they
it's like
sample.
We surveyed 100 people.
Yeah.
That's the problem with polls. They're like, we surveyed 2,100 people, and that represents the entire country.
Yeah,
well,
no, I get it. But let's just say it wasn't 84%. Let's say it was 60%. Let's say it was 55%. I mean, do we live in a democracy where we can,
No, we don't.
our vote can affect
We
laws?
haven't lived in a democracy ever.
Exactly. So why we sold this thing? If you polled everybody today, everybody over 18 from 18 to 88 or whatever, you took a vote now.
I bleed capitalism. However, that is one of the issues with capitalism, is that your vote is going to be based on what is the most profitable. So there was an article published today that they managed to develop a bacterium that produces psilocybin more purely than they could.
Wait a second, science guy. What's he talking about?
Psilocybin is magic mushrooms.
Magic mushrooms.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, there's been some breakthrough status given to some research
Picture a
grants.
mushroom with a cape and a wand.
Yes.
Bricadabra.
There's been breakthrough status given to psilocybin and MDMA research when it comes to treating PTSD, depression, anxiety, in what they call microdosing, where it's not a hallucinogenic effect,
Right.
but you use it to alter brain state. Now, them breaking through and being able to artificially create psilocybin will be what breaks it through into medicine, because you can
license it.
Mass produce
Right.
it. You can
And
so it
control
will
it.
be illegal to grow magic mushrooms in your closet, but it will be legal for a drug company to synthesize it.
The magic mushroom.
Because the FDA gave status to a artificially synthesized THC, but will not give it to grown THC
Right.
because you
understand
can't
that.
control it.
Because you can't control it.
The only ingredients in marijuana is the seed itself,
weed.
water, and sunshine. That's it. It is a weed.
Well, by
that's
that, then heroin should be legal, because
Right.
you can slit the side of a poppy that's growing in the field and get opium out of it.
That's the good stuff.
I don't have a problem with that. If you want to grow poppies and cut your own poppies and slit them and harvest them for
Now-
your own use on your
But
own
it's hard to
land
regulate it, because then
that
you can't
own.
take it and you can't
No,
purify it, make sure you're getting
now-
the right stuff.
now
Well, no,
doing
you
it,
can't- you can't
manufacturing
profit off it.
and selling it.
Let's not talk about
Yeah.
purification, because how
I've
many
got a little
drugs do we have with horrendous side
Right,
effects?
I've got a problem with that. But if
You listen
want,
to a drug. I think drug commercials should be illegal.
dude, if you own 30,
They look so happy.
right?
Well, but I'm sorry, if I watch a 45-second commercial and it's 3 seconds talking about
Yeah,
the drug
40
and
seconds.
43 seconds
Yeah.
of how it's going to cause your dick to fall off, I think I'd just rather have itchy, watery eyes.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
it's-
I'm not prepared to sacrifice the little fella for that.
That sounds like a horrible drug.
But where do we
Terrible
get
drug.
off?
Do you have
right?
itchy,
But
watery
let's
eyes?
talk about benzodiazepines.
What is that?
Tranquilizer.
Valium,
Right.
Xanax,
Okay.
the mommy's happy pills. Benzos are some of the worst things we've created for what they do to brain chemistry.
And shit that's created in a lab, I can understand being regulated. Where my
Because
problem is,
there's a difference
right?
with like opiates, with the way that the brain chemistry works, where you can create a physical dependency where the body can't function without it.
If I'm a 60-year-old farmer with arthritic knees and a bad hip, why can I not grow some marijuana and some poppies on my own land for my own personal use?
Because you can't tax it.
It's mine. It's my personal
But
use.
you're
It's
asking why. It's because
I'm
you
paying
can't tax.
taxes on the land. I pay taxes on the income.
Which let's
that
talk
I
about
used to buy the
how
land.
bullshit property tax is. You can never actually own your land.
Right, but why are we as a society like holding people back from growing their own poppies to
Because
make
you
poppy tea?
can't manage and tax it.
Exactly, and I believe that's wrong.
Well, your country did have a big thing about taxation and a harbor and some
And
tea.
some tea, and
Yeah.
I get it.
They grow tea. It's just sunshine and water.
Sunshine and water, and it's the same thing. Tea's a stimulant. It's a drug.
Yeah.
So
However, I don't think you can form a physical dependency to tea.
shit.
Caffeine.
Go
Yeah.
go to England and argue that. I mean, how many offices in this country do
Coffee
not
pots.
function without coffee pots?
Ours run off GFuel.
Yes. That stuff
fuck
is
is
nasty.
GFuel?
It looks like Shrek jizz. It's awful. I don't know. It's like green and slimy, and these guys just
It's not
drink it.
slimy.
Well, I don't know. It looks slimy. It looks green. I don't know. But caffeine bombs. That's all they are. Every morning around the water cooler.
Yet if you bump a line of cocaine off the desk, it's a problem.
I don't get it.
Where? Oh. I mean,
Maybe not in your
Yeah,
office.
where do you work?
But we have a specific rule
Come
against
on,
doing
come
cocaine in
on.
the office.
says the guy in the blazer.
But I mean, that's the thing, is that stimulants, maybe
They're part of
maybe the
society.
Mormons have it right of not altering your state of mind.
But I don't think having a cup of coffee in the morning alters my state of mind. It's just what.
No,
you
but
drink.
having 6 cups of coffee and some GFuel probably does.
Yeah.
it changes the way you make decisions.
Yeah. Maybe I need some GFuel then.
I don't know what GFuel is, and I'm not endorsing it.
It's this powdery stuff they put in the bottle and shake it up and drink it.
I like it.
Sounds like
instead of Red Bull.
pre-workout.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's not that
It's
bad.
kind of like pre-workout.
But on that bombshell,
Yes, we are
7 minutes over.
firmly out of time. So I want to throw a very quick and a very loud shout out to the Texas Media Foundry, whose T-shirt I am modeling today, quite unsexily, I might add. But these are the guys that come back here every Sunday, put up with us, listen to our shit, and make the podcast run. So I want to thank Texas Media Foundry. They are going to Canada, up to the frozen north, to shoot some trucks this week, and then when they get back,
Video of trucks.
yes, shoot some video of trucks. My bad.
Guns are illegal.
Guns are illegal.
Guns are frowned upon in Canada.
But they will be shooting some trucks this week and putting some footage together for them. And when they get back, they will be looking for more things to shoot. So if you need any
Video
shot
of.
on, God, would you let me finish the pitch?
Clarification.
At least let me finish the pitch for the guys. They do such a good job for us.
Yeah, but they're not shooting at things.
With the cameras.
Ah.
It's context, David. It's context. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. So
In today's day and age, context doesn't mean shit.
well, in the context of shooting things with cameras, if you need anything shot next week that isn't your ex-wife, let us know and we'll get your number over to the Texas Media Foundry guys.
Now, if you like video of your ex-wife shot, we'd be happy to help.
Being shot.
We've seen that video. It's all over the internet.
Oh, yeah.
So, thank you so much for watching, and thank you again to Cavalier Cigar Lounge for letting us use their room, and thank you to Alex and David as well. So we will see you not next week because there's a holiday and everybody's going off out of town for the long weekend. So we'll be back in 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll have some exciting guests for you, maybe even someone in the mayoral race for Brian. I'm hoping that they reach out and we can come on and debate strategies and tactics and budgets for the city. And we will see you all same time, 2 weeks' time. Have a great night. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.